All right. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome back to Profitable PPC Campaigns for Tour Operators. Congratulations to everyone who has successfully launched their PPC campaigns. Well done. I also launched mine based off of Pablo's recommendations. And I can say that I have clicks, but no sales yet. I am selling a pretty high value product though, so I'd imagine that it's going to take me a little bit of effort to get it to a place that it's actually generating revenue. Hopefully, some of you guys have seen maybe one or two or three sales trickle in. That'd be kind of nice. I think generally right now what I'm seeing is that there isn't that much traffic. I'm also targeting a very hyper localized area. And I'm just proud of you guys for getting this far. Well done. Well done. Pablo did an amazing job of showing you guys how to set it up. You guys have taken action and actually gotten it up and running, which, by the way, is one of the hardest parts. Okay. So, well done. And we have essentially covered how to properly do the keyword research, and we've covered how to set up the campaigns and how to write the ads and how to use site link extensions and how to install tracking software so you understand where your users are coming from and what they're doing on your website. We have covered so many wonderful things. How to set up your landing pages. There's fantastic content that we delivered, and you guys have been fantastic in following along and launching with us. Today, Pablo is coming back to show you guys. Well, now that you've got some data and you got some campaigns running, what do you do? Where do you look? How do you run reports? How do you optimize? And some of his content that he's going to share is fantastic. And then also, what he's going to do is answer some questions live. So if you've already posted questions in the group with examples of your ads, like we saw Wendy and Alice had a couple questions in there, Pablo's going to address those. If you have any other questions, post them in the comments now, and we can help you out. If you're stuck on anything, for instance, you were trying to get live and you just couldn't quite get there, post your questions as well. And we're going to just kick this thing off. Let's do it. Pablo, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. I'm very happy to be here. Like Vitaly said, it's great to see that you guys have engaged, that you guys had great questions, and that you were able to take some a little bit more than others, right? I understand some of you are having some difficulties here and there, but for the most part, I've seen that you guys were able to release the ads, which makes us super happy. And I think that for the ones that haven't yet, don't stress. You will get it done. These recordings are all available for you to watch again, and we are also available if you have any questions. This class is going to be aiming, like Vitaly said, at two main things. First, I want to go into kind of the mindset. Like how should we be an analyst? How do we treat numbers into actionable data? Into insights. So I'm gonna basically share a report that we at LaHype do as a monthly process. I'm gonna try not to take too much time on it. It has a lot of details, but I'm just gonna give some quick pointers, things that you can do right now. And after that, we're gonna reserve some time for the questions. So I'm gonna share my screen so we can have a look together at the report that we have built. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So basically, I'm using here an example from March. A reason for that is just there's some information which is a little bit more sensible, right? Due to the recent COVID situation, and we might not want a competitor looking at this webinar and getting that information. So I worked with a little bit of an older report to show you guys. To give you the kind of the storytelling, what's going on here in March. In March, we had the intention to release very strong ads that we usually run between March and May, because it's kind of a mid-season there. in which we make special offers for Crazy Crab. We were actually releasing at the time social media maintenance as well, which we're boosting. So that also goes into paid ad, but that's a story for a different day. Um, so basically, this is when COVID hit us really hard, and we were at the time, we were aware of it, of course, but there wasn't really clarity in destination for the Cayman Islands on how they were going to tackle that. So this was a very decisive month. So first off, I want to show you guys a very useful tool, and I want to address one of the questions that Wendy had. She mentioned that she had released ads for Costa Rica, and that she picked up that there was interest in Germany. For that, there was an insight coming from a friend or a partner that the German population was interested in Costa Rica. So what we do to really analyze the trend, right, the interest, we use this tool here, which is called Google Trends. It's a free tool, and you can play around with it. It's very interesting for several factors and reasons that you might want to use it. But for us, we really try to identify the interest in certain kind of activities. So if I put, for example, tour in Barcelona, okay. We're going to use it as a search term. And what Google is going to do, it's going to ask me for some filters, which you can specify, and you should. For example, let's have a look first off worldwide. And then let's have a look at not the last 12 months, because we know that the search intent here is probably going to be a little bit lower than usually. Let's try for the past 5 years, just to get like a very macro view on how it behaves. So what is one thing that you can get right off the bat here? The first thing you need to understand is that this scale from 0 to 100, it doesn't mean, it's a little bit tricky to analyze it, because what it is doing, it's giving you a variable on how popular that search term was on a specific time of the month or a week, right? But only inside of the time frame that you have selected, you see. So for example, if I look here, the 15th of March 2020, I have a very low value on the search interest. If I then search only for the month of March, it could be that actually on the 15th we had more interest than the 17th, and then that would go up on the scale. It could be up to 70 or 60. So don't worry too much about the precise number that you're getting, like is this on an 80 scale, on a 70 scale. This is really to show you fluctuation, and remember, inside of the period that you pre-select. Okay, so what we can do with this, for example, seasonality. We onboarding a new customer, we want to understand how when they have bigger peaks, when we have low season, when is it coming from. So you see, we can also use here some insights by region. So for example, we noticed that from Spain, makes sense, right? In location tourist, I'm getting a lot of attraction for this kind of terms, tourism Barcelona. On Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, and United States as runners up. So what does that show you? That you should probably be running ads in English for these targets. These are just quick insights. You get some related topics on the terms that you're looking. Sometimes there is an attraction, like maybe you're talking about the Gaudi attraction, and this shows up here because there is maybe an event from the government or something like that is being distributed, which you can always use to, piggyback on the trends that are going on your region. So this is just a very good tool. Play around with it. You can't go wrong. You're definitely going to get good insights from here. Showing the insight from Wendy, right? Let's do that example real quick. So if we look for Costa Rica as a search term, like a super broad search term, and I actually want to know in Germany if there is any variation or seasonality on that. Okay, so Costa Rica has been trending in 2018. That's too broad. I can't really work with that. Let's make it the last 12 months. Okay. So now we can see that before the COVID struck, so let's say end of the year, pretty much right in 2019, there was a lot of interest. You see, it was growing. It came from a broad perspective, but then of course, starting March, you see the drop. So your insight is probably right. Before COVID, there was that interest. It might be an opportunity for you to keep an eye on this very or maybe you make some combinations with tours or diving, um, and you can really understand, is it a good time for me to release those ads or not? Is it a good time for me to invest more or less? Is there a different location that I can target, or even a specific city in which there is more interest, you see? So it's a cool tool. It's fun. It's definitely not the place you want to use to report and really, hit the hammer and say that you understand the seasonality now, but it's good insight. It's good indications. Um, Something else that we like to analyze is some broad metrics. And all of this data that we are showing here, most of it comes from Google Analytics. And I think it's probably best if I just quickly show the report, which kind of metrics we go over, and then I show you those same metrics in analytics so you know where to get them. And we kind of define here what they mean, right? And why are they important. So our reports, they always work in the same way. We bring some kind of data to talk numbers, and then we bring some kind of insight. What does that mean for our business? Um, I think a very important one that you will start seeing some difference now is the traffic sources. Right, it's definitely a very cool insight that you can have. It's a easy first place to go usually when you want to start reporting. And I think I can show that directly in analytics where you go there. I'm just going to use Crazy Crab here again as an example. So in analytics, and look guys, this gets tricky because there's a lot that you can do in analytics. So just keep in mind the four broad approaches that we have here, okay? We have the audience, which is going to be all kinds of information about the demographic, are they using the technology they're using, the behavior that they're having, where are they coming from, what's the age range, which language is their PC or mobile set to, what are they interested in, and much more. Inside of acquisition, is where we're going to start now because I think it's one of the best places to do so. You're going to be looking at everything that's regarding traffic. How do you attract people, looking at not an audience level, but looking at a channel level? So I'm investing in Facebook. I want to be able to benchmark my Facebook campaigns versus my PPC campaigns on AdWords or Google Ads. That is the best place to do this because you could look at AdWords, but AdWords is going to be very centered in AdWords, right? It's going to give you information there. It's not necessarily going to give you information over any other traffic that you might have on your website. So I like personally to go to acquisition, all traffic, and channels. Now, Google has been around for some time. So when you go to channels, it is actually smart enough to be able to group things that the different traffic origins that you might be running out there. I'm gonna get the same period that we're looking at this report. So I'm gonna get March 2020 and compare that to the previous month. Okay. So this is when we started having the pandemic re-announced and we had the lockdown. You can see an immediate decrease, right? So how do we analyze these traffic sources? Google is smart and it creates this default channel grouping, which is basically getting some of the sources that you have, like paid search, which could include social media ads, authorship links that you're shooting out there, which you are tagging them as paid because maybe you hired someone to write it, or maybe you're paying someone for that link in their blog. Direct traffic is everything that it sometimes comes in through email, but it's mostly when someone types in your website directly. The relation between direct traffic, paid, and organic is very common because once you visit a website for the first time, right, and you're going to type it in again into your Google search, it might find it and then actually throws you directly to that link. So it's very common to see if organic or paid search go up. Usually direct goes up with it. Organic search, that's from this other big topic that you probably heard, SEO, right? So everything that's regarding to bringing traffic from search engines like Google, Yahoo, but without paying for that. So organically, naturally bringing that traffic in. Social media, it groups in different platforms. You might have to personalize this a little bit depending on which ones you're working. Maybe you're working with a partner that has a social forum or a social platform in your destination, which is not recognized by Google. But as a thumb of rule, the rule of thumb, the social media basically is grouping up the most popular ones. So TripAdvisor, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, even TripAdvisor sometimes, and it just groups it in as organic traffic from social media. Referral is everything that is a link in a different website shooting to you, but that is not being recognized as one of those traffic sources. So what could that be, for example? It could be, for example, LeHype on our portfolio, onboarding one of you guys and then adding a link to your website saying this is one of our websites we work with. Someone might click that, and then it would come in as a referral because per se it's not tagged as a paid link. It doesn't come from search engines. It's not a direct click because you're not typing in the URL, but it's still a link shooting to you. Google needs to categorize that somehow. It puts it into the referral. Display here, we're looking at it separately, but sometimes you're going to see it instead of paid. It's basically any kind of paid advertising that you do, which use a graphic visual approach. Would sum up here. And email, all the kind of tactics that we trigger to workflows, adventure planners, and other things that we do for Crazy Crab, which drive traffic through an email chain. So now we know the channels, and we're going to be talking about them quite a lot. There's going to be lots of slides talking about the different sources and the channel session and news sessions. So just to give some broad understanding on this three main views here, and why do I want to show that? Because these other two that we have down here, behavior and conversion, you can look at them isolated. And then you can look at behavior per page views, how many times did someone see a page, and understanding more about the time that they spent, which pages they left the website, which pages they came into the website. But the acquisition view, it brings kind of a summed up version of the behavior and conversion views here too. Now, quickly about acquisition. Sessions. And you might have a different view on your analytics. Sometimes you're going to set it up as users, which is a little bit different. We use both, but in different ways. So session is basically any time that there is an access to your website. So if I'm a user, which is a different metric, I'm one user, I can make 5 sessions in a day into your website. So it would count as one new user, 5 new sessions. Okay. New session percentage is just a tag that analytics is going to try to identify, has this user been here before, or is this a completely new user? Now he allocates that according to your IP address, your browser code, but in most of the ways it works super well, and it gives an indication on your public. I expect you to start seeing that your new sessions, if you launched your ads successfully, should start increasing. And I say that because when we do paid ads, we're trying to outreach to someone, right? We're trying to find a new public. So it's very likely that the click that you get is going to be from someone that does not know you yet. Maybe someone that never had the opportunity to reach you because you didn't have that ad running up. Now you do. So you should see an increase in a relation between sessions and new users. On behavior, there are tons of metrics, and again, you just go into the behavior tab and you can go crazy with this. You can't really break analytics unless you go into the admin or the settings, where you can start changing how analytics behaves. But overall, this is a tool that you're looking into information, so you can really just play around. But bounce rate, very important metric. It means, so if we look here, example, 47.84%. What this is saying is that from all that traffic that we got, half of it, or almost half of it, did not interact as we desired. So they left the page without clicking anything. Maybe they read a blog post in which we were giving a very clear answer, and they did not click on their next step, which could be talk to someone or read this other blog post. It could be that the pricing was not right and so that scared them away. It could be that your information was not succinct enough and they had trouble understanding it and they clicked away. It could be that it took too long to load your page and they clicked away. One way or the other, this is a very important metric because Google looks at this very closely. And if your bounce rate starts increasing a lot, especially on your paid ads, you might start losing quality index there. The page per session is basically saying in a very in a average number for each session that you have on your website, how many clicks, how many pages does that session go through, usually as an average. So this is cool to see if you are producing a new form, right? Because you can also filter all of that per a specific page. You're using a new form, you want to know if people are going through it, you can use this metric. You have a process they want to follow, like your ads are shooting them to an adventure planner, which then shoots you to a booking link. You can also see if they're actually taking those steps, if they're going through those pages or not. Average session duration is basically how much time they spend on your page, which goes hand in hand with the page per session. And conversions, I'm not going to go too much into, and the only reason why is because I cannot guarantee you that your conversion is going to be working, because this really depends on your booking engine. Sometimes they do that for you. Sometimes you have to hire an external. Sometimes you have to do it yourself. There's tons of ways that you can define a conversion. You can say that a conversion is reaching a specific page. You can say that it's clicking a specific button, like a book now. Or ideally, you can try to tag your whole conversion process or your sales process, your checkout process, so that you can really know how many people clicked on check dates, how many people went to picking the number of tickets that they wanted, and how many people really went ahead and finished the purchase. Because if you're able to separate those steps, which you can define how you want to separate them, you can make specific advertising for each of those steps too. Someone choose the number of people, choose their activity, but did not put in their credit card, you might retarget them, show them an ad in which you are offering them to come back to the basket, finish the purchase, and maybe just throw a discount there to close the deal. So the more you can understand about your conversion process, the more you can capitalize on it at the end of the day. Going back to the report, most of this information that we're going to be looking at here is about traffic. So we look at those very same fonts that we origins of traffic that we talked before, and we break down the analysis on month by month, what happened, what went down, and why. And that's basically the first indication for us is something is wrong because we have a lot less traffic. Let's have a look. Or something is wrong because traffic is going up, sales are going down. We're not qualified enough. Let's try to look into it. I'm not going to go too much into the slides by slides, otherwise it's going to be way longer than an hour here. On SEO, just a quick pointer. If you don't have it yet, I really recommend that you implement this tool called the Search Console. It basically gives you an extra step as far as your analyzing power goes to SEO, like AdWords is for analytics, right? So this, you can think your SEO powerhouse, where you can see not only information about search, right? So how many people are clicking, how many people are seeing my organic results in Google, what's my average click-through rate, what's my average position for all of the terms that I'm ranking for. You can also get insights for the keywords that you are ranking for organically, so the ones that you are getting traffic without having to pay, because that sometimes you, like, again, you're doing your keyword research, you're thinking of a keyword, not sure if it actually works for you or not. You might as well use this tool to have a look. This tool is super simple to implement. Okay, once you get your analytics up and running, the performance is just a click away, because both of the tools are super integrated. So on SEO, we basically, it's three main factors, right? It's what keywords are we ranking for? Are we showing up for? How many clicks are we getting? And the conversion rate. That's the more important part that we really look at. As you should do with PPC, also recommend you doing that for organic. Benchmark your keywords, right? So understand the average position that you have for your main terms, the number of clicks you're getting, and the CTR that you want to get from that and you're currently getting. This is some information from some extra tools, like the one we mentioned, the first class, CMBrush, which is a super competitive tool. So if you want to really go hard with your search marketing, SMrush would be a good way to do that first step, because it gives you a lot of insights when it comes to the number of clicks. Basically, it's getting all of all of the data that we looked at from analytics, from search engine, and it's able to compile it into a very clear report. So saying for the keyword safaris in Tanzania, you were getting this much traffic, and here's the evolution over the months. Things that, sure, you could try to simulate manually, but it would be a lot of data handling, right? So some tools sometimes really help. Here's as an example, what I just mentioned, right? We're able to track specific keywords, which ones are getting less traffic and why. This is just a best practice that I recommend you also try to do. We, of course, have to present this to a customer, right? So we need to be a little bit more detective about what we're doing. But still, the reporting is a process that it's never ending. That's the first and most important rule. It's not like you're going to report once on your ads, make some tweaks, and forget about it. You have to keep pushing. You need to be able to make it a cyclical process, because all the learning points from a report should become action points for the next month or the next period of iterations that you decide to do bi-weekly or semestrally. But I recommend once a month at least. On Google Ads, so this is where it gets a little bit more relevant for what you're doing right now. Which are some of the metrics that we look at? The more important ones for us, of course, we're talking about investment, is the cost, right? So the cash investment that you're making into these ads, it needs to be crystal clear for you. Benchmark that and try to understand, try to always get the most out of your investment, right? You want the most clicks and the most sales out of the same, or ideally lower investment that you're doing. Impressions and clicks and CTR are metrics that we already discussed, right? For in other medias, it's basically you're showing up, you're getting clicked, and what's the average between those two numbers. CPC, very important metric. Here we're using an average of all of our campaigns. How much are we paying for a click in our ads? And this metric you can get right off the bat from AdWords as well. Number of conversions, for us that means number of sales that we had. But for you, it could mean, for example, number of forms that was submitted, or a specific page that was visited, a WhatsApp button that was clicked so they get in touch with you. The conversion rate is, this really depends from business to business, right? Because like Vitaly said, maybe his conversion rate is a little bit lower. He drives a lot of traffic and has a little bit less sales, because it's a high tier, it's a high ticket activity. It's not something you just drop off your wallet like that. Cost per conversion is then the metric, basically at number of conversions between the cost that you had, and it says, look, averagely to get a sale, this is how much you're paying, and then you need to know very clearly for yourself, how much does that represent for me, right? How much does a sale represent for me? So if you're selling, day tours and you're selling tickets for $30, this is probably not a good scenario for you. Right, you don't want to pay $255 averagely for a click, which then gives you $20 or $30 on a ticket.
I'm kind of curious about that metric myself, Pablo. So with the average order value is how much for this?
For Crazy Crab?
Yeah.
Their smallest package starts at $800.
It's $800. So it took two, like in this report, essentially it takes 255 euros, or sorry, dollars, to sell an $800 product, right? That was for this particular month, which is March, which was like the worst month. You spent $250 and you got 800 back, which still is like a 3.5 time. So you're still getting about 350% ROI still on during this like low season. But eight conversions. So okay. So I'm just trying to, like, in my head, because I've already spent, like, I don't know, $30 in the last couple days, right, in my campaign. And I'm trying to sell the private charters as well, and so I'm just trying to get a sense in my own in my own head how much it would take to get a conversion. So about $250. So I should wait until I spend at least $250 on my ads, right, before I'm like, oh no, I gotta like really
Yeah,
change these things.
I would run them for a little bit longer. Like, of course, the conversion rate here, this cost per conversion, always take it with a grain of salt, right? Because there might be so many assisted conversions that are not accounted here. Like what that would mean is someone went into the website, right? He visited your booking page, he saw all of your activities, he was almost buying. For whatever reason it is, maybe they didn't have to talk to someone to confirm if they wanted to go. Maybe they just wanted to share a link with their friends to then decide what to do. for whatever reason it is, someone else might buy it. He might buy it through his phone now, or he might use Google or an email that you send him to buy it. Then the conversion would not be associated to AdWords, right? But then that would be a talk for a different day, which is when you really study your multi-marketing funnel, right?
Got it.
Which is when we start seeing that the conversion only on AdWords is 255. But maybe once we break this down and really see the whole journey that the user had, we're paying a lot less. Maybe it's it's just $20 that we're using and a simple step of the journey, which is then selling us at that 800 charger, right?
Got it.
So it's a cool indication, but don't take it like your the 100% statement that I'm spending
Right.
255 to get a sale.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Here we're just looking at month by month and Google Ads. We always break down the overall website behavior, right? And then we look at the overall specific metrics for each platform. So here, as we do with whenever it comes to search or some competitive technology space, we look at cost, the CTR, as well as the clicks and the CTR, and and the CPC. To understand how these four main metrics are shifting month by month, but then only looking at AdWords. On a campaign level, we also study, because we understand that each of our campaigns, like we discussed on the other classes, they have goals, right? They have different goals. So a campaign that is talking about, let's say, the overseas, right? We had a lot of clicks, we didn't have too many sales, and our cost per conversion here is actually pretty high if we were gonna take it as the final number. Because of course in March overseas, what we did have a lot was cancellations, right? Because that's when it was announced that Cayman was not going to be available for flights anytime soon. On the other hand, some campaigns that were focused on locals started showing more results. A new campaign that we had launched at the time, focusing on boat rental keywords, was running super well. So we also decided that this was going to be two main points to focus for the upcoming future at the time. We did the same analysis on the keyword search terms, right? So understanding from those campaigns, which are actually the keywords that are driving good traffic for us right now, and we identified that there was an interest for things to do and the locations themselves, and as we mentioned, as always, right, the boat, right, the private boat, the private charter. That interest basically made us realize that these campaigns, as you can see, they were not running with a too high of a quality score, because we didn't really have a page which was talking about things to do, but specifically about activities to do. So the keyword was not present. We were not really stuffing the things to do in Cayman in there. We had specific blogs for that, for example. So we noticed that had to change for the future, right? Because otherwise it was not going to be sustainable. Here, same view as above, but they're not looking at clicks, but actually looking at sales, which are the best performing sales keywords that we have. Number one, and you can see quality score 10, Crazy Crab. Why? Because that's our website, that's our brand, so our authority for that specific query is it's maxed out, right? We are Crazy Crab. Something that we always keep an eye out as well, and we like to split it like we did here by the type of device, is the cost. So how much are you spending on each device? It gives you a good indication as well on local or outbound tourist location. Clicks, so the click share that you're getting. If you're, for example, getting a lot of mobile clicks and you still don't have a mobile optimized website, but your desktop website looks great, it's probably not going to work out for you, right? Because you should be able to understand if they're using cell phones, if they're using mobiles or tablets, you need to provide them a good experience with that. Otherwise, you might be burning your chances, right, to have a sale with that click that you're paying for, after all. And conversion, of course. So, as an example here, a very quick insight that we had at the time, which we saw which made us realize that the adventure planner was more essential than ever. You see our cost in clicks when you look at computers, which is this pink bar, is relatively low. It's 1/4, right? But when it came to actually buying and getting your credit card out and paying for the activity, computers were more popular. So we started making sure that we had email chains that would hit them on the PC, calling them out to finish their purchase, right? And that was a great success for us. Same as with all medias, make your finishing statement points. Look at what you did, what did that result, what's my next step based on this. Try not to, of course, we do create sometimes, 3-4 months campaigns, but we don't, and we don't really hit it on, write it on stone as like what's gonna happen, but we have an overall indication. Like first month we want to cook up interest in a specific location. Maybe in the next 2 months we want to be targeting bringing new audiences and having more reach, and then on the last 2 months of the project we want to really start selling hard. It's good that you have that you have kind of this roadmap of where would I ideally like to be. But I think it's more effective, and for our customers, it has been proven that more flexibility and more reactiveness to this information has been giving better results at the end, is to make this cyclical, right? So if you are able to make this description of clearly understanding what you tried out, what was the result of that, and so based on that learning, what's my next test, what's my next step to take, you will probably always be pushing in the right direction, because at least you will be learning from either your mistakes or you will be learning from your success. So as long as you're learning, you keep pushing with this method. The social media, I think it's not necessary to go too much into it because I understand we're going to have a future content about this. But we also look, of course, because we maintain it both organically, so meaning we make a content agenda as we speculate what is going to be trending in a month, and we create a specific agenda for that. Sometimes we do the copy in-house, sometimes we outsource the copy, sometimes it's the customer who writes it because they have like a marine biologist in their team, but we help with the curation of that content, so SEO work, and understanding the overall inbound strategy. We just look at some of the main metrics, because if you want to know how that reflects in your website, you have analytics for that, right? You have social media down here. But if you want to know a little bit more about the tactics and the steps that you are taking in the social media, there's a reporting tool integrated to Facebook and Instagram, which they're great. Of course, you can consider hiring some cheap solutions that are out there. There's like a $5 one, which I can share in the group later, where you can quickly have the report from all your social medias in one place. You can schedule your posts, so you don't have to every day go and post them manually. Just best practices, right? But metrics that we like to pay attention here is metrics that indicate audience, right? So the reach that we have, how many times was a video that we posted seen, and engagement, which is what we really are driving for in social media, right? So comments, likes, shares, overall, I'm trying to understand how relevant that is for the user. We, for example, this month had noticed that like I mentioned, we started focusing a lot on social media at this time because we knew that social media was super relevant in the Cayman Islands for the local population. So for us to these kind of ads talking about the team members, showing that they were Caymanian, locals from Cayman, started giving us great results. We had less reach because it wasn't as relevant as, look at this beautiful view of Stingray City, but it was very relevant for community building and showing leadership in the region. So we started doubling up on that, and we also had great results from that. Instagram was hidden here because we didn't have Instagram running that month, but it's basically the same analysis. This is all data, but what we would show normally is the likes and the stories that we have posted, if they were successful, and benchmarking what is working, what is not, because that can be insightful for your content team. It can be insightful for your design team. Overall, it's a good idea to break down the ads themselves or the posts themselves and see what did we do different so that they work well. The next slides here, they're basically just looking at blog, which is a very important aspect for us when it comes to inbound social media and SEO. We use it here then indirectly to look at our rankings and those other platforms that I mentioned, like SEO and social media. But because in social media, then you have something to say, you have something to share if you have a great blog post, right, which can drive traffic. But overall, we try to see as an attraction tool, how many people are we bringing in to the website, which then we can retarget, which then we can put in a funnel, and what's their behavior with it. So you can see our blog is actually, it doesn't get too many clicks, but the ones that it gets, they're very happy with it. You can see that the bounce is a little bit high, but that's okay because we are giving very clear answers to them for questions they have. Is came in a good location for families? Yes, here's why. They read it, they're happy, they leave, but then we got them in the net. Then we can start remarketing them, can start showing them our advertising saying family-friendly charters in Cayman, book now. Overall, it's like the blog is and usually it's gonna be for your business because you're not a journalist, right? You're probably trying to sell your fish. The blog is usually gonna work as a support media. On our business results, this is usually how we end our reports. We need to talk money. We need to talk, are we selling? We need to talk, are we sustainable? We need to talk, where should we put investment in the future? We like to make a conclusion. This is usually when we give the learnings of the month to our customers. I think you should do the same because it's very useful for you in the future as well. We want to come back. Now, for example, I'm able to benchmark with my customer Troy Leacock, which is the owner of Crazy Crab, that I remember back in March, we had this metrics, we took those decisions, and maybe now in October, I can show, in September, I can show how the results of that, what are the results from that, and what we did right, what we could do faster, what we could aim at a different direction. And having this kind of documentation is, I think it's invaluable, really. It's essential, in my opinion. So essential that something that you might want to have a look at in the future, if all of this becomes super overwhelming to you, because I understand it's, if we count AdWords, it's 4 platforms that I showed you here, which have a lot of information, and sometimes treating that information can become a little bit tricky. There is also the option of you working with custom dashboards. Now, there's tons of solutions out there for this too, but I really recommend having a look at Data Studio, which is a tool from Google, so integration is super simple, right? And for our work, for example, in which we have this maintenance processes, this reporting processes that we do every month, having an easy place like this to be able to browse through the main information that we think is important is, it's life-saving because we don't have to spend so much time in finding this data, so going into analytics and bringing it into an Excel sheet, but it's actually being treated for us super fast, right? So I want to see channels like we were looking before. I can easily look at this here. I can easily compare that and choose my dates, and I can even isolate it.
Pablo, you're going to share this with all of us, right?
I can share an example, yeah.
We can't. You just export the template, right? And we could just plug in our own analytics.
I think you can. There might be some filters that are going to be broken, right? Because they were built specifically for example, the page name of the checkout, right? Which is not going to show up on yours probably. But the template itself, the widget setup, I can absolutely share, and then you can try to integrate. Probably some
Excellent.
of those things are not going to work, but
That's
some
all
tweaks
right.
here and
That's all
there.
right. If we can get 80% of the way there, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
I think it's
Do
very
you
helpful, man.
do you mind if I show people how to use the search term report in Google Ads real quick?
Not at all. I think it's a great idea.
So this report that I'm about to share with you guys is super powerful. And it's essentially how you will know whether or not your keywords are showing up for the right. So you essentially enter keywords that you bid on, correct? And then people that will type in some combination of those words, right? Depending on if you're using broad match modifiers, or if you're using just a broad match, or if you're using the phrase match or exact match, right? So like there's all these different matches that we went through in class number 1 that uh, Google will decide on which keywords to essentially show your ads for based off of the search term that the user enters. So somebody goes to Google and they type in some long search term, and then this used to be called the search query report, but they integrated it directly into the campaigns, and you can access it if you're in all campaigns. And then on the left hand side, if you go down to keywords and you click on search terms, right, And then what you do is you make sure that your date range for the report is relevant to what you're looking at. I recommend doing this at the beginning. I recommend doing this like every couple days, and then after a while, after a couple of weeks, you can go to like weekly and then to monthly. Um, and that's primarily because at the very beginning, when you first launch your campaigns, um, Google will start showing your ads for a lot of different keywords, and you want to know what it's actually showing your ads for, right? And so this is one of the best ways to figure out if your ads are showing for the right keywords. Okay, so I'm gonna refresh this really quick because I want to get the newest data. This is all the data that I have. I only launched this like 2 days ago. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time, but it's live now, and so. And so here I have essentially 13 search terms. So my ads are showing up for boat trip Tenerife, Tenerife boat tours, Tenerife sailing charters, TripAdvisor. So here's an example, by the way, of I never asked it to show me for when people type in TripAdvisor, and I never asked it to show me from people type in Shogun. But I did ask Google to show me if anyone types in boat trip or sailing charter, right? So it's approximating as closely as it can to which terms I should be showing up for. Now, what you do with this data is really important. You do two things. One is if there's a search term that is producing great results, you should take that search term as a phrase or as an exact match, add it to your campaign, and then make sure you're bidding on it really well, right? Because if it shows that keyword only sometimes, right? Because it has to distribute your ad budget across all the search terms that you have, or all the keywords that you're ranking for, you're bidding on, then you want to make sure that if there's a keyword or a search term that's performing really well, you take that and you add it to the campaign itself and you increase its bid so that you will that keyword shows more often than the others, right? So that's an important component of it. There's a bunch of other ways to use it, but like that's an easy one you can do right away. The other thing that you want to do, which is super critical, is you want to scan through this list, right? And I don't know if anyone watched the homework that I did on day number 1, but I essentially started adding negative keywords to my account. So negative keywords are super important because what they do is they prevent your ads from showing when they definitely shouldn't be showing. So in this example, I do not want to show up for Shogun. Shogun is a different charter. Somebody is clearly looking specifically for that boat. And the chances of me converting that traffic are very low because they already have a product in mind that they want to book, right? And I'm not set up properly to do the like alternative comparison page where they're like, I can be like, if I had a page that was like Shogun versus Tenerife.fun, then I could bid on that keyword, but I don't have that page set up. So I'm essentially what I'm going to do. So right here under keywords, you have a tab that says negative keywords. So if you click on negative keywords, you'll see I have a bunch already in here, right? I have Armas, which is a ferry, banana boat. I don't have a banana boat. Cheap, El Hero, ferry, for sale. These are all words that somebody may type in relation to a boat trip or a yacht charter or a sailing trip, right? And I don't want to rank for I don't want to show up for any of these. So what I'm also going to do now is I scan through there. I'm going to add Shogun and I'm going to add TripAdvisor. I don't want to show up for TripAdvisor because people are looking for something very specific. I don't have a page for TripAdvisor, right? Now, maybe Pablo has a different strategy about this, but like I want to show up for terms that I know definitely people I could convert, right? I know if they're looking for TripAdvisor, most likely they're going to click on TripAdvisor. If they're looking for Shogun, they're most likely going to look for Shogun. So I'm going to add these in here, and I'm going to add these as phrase match, right? And I'm going to click on save. Campaign. This campaign, right? So I'm adding it at the campaign level. You can also add it at an ad group level, but I'm adding it to the campaign level. All right. So now if anyone types in Shogun, I won't show up. If someone types in TripAdvisor, I won't show up. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys this report. It's very, very useful, very handy, and it shows you some really good stuff, right? So this is a good way for you to understand what you're actually showing up for. All right, that's what I wanted to show you. Back to Pablo.
All right. So from my side, I think we're open to for Q&A. The material that I wanted to show you guys is pretty much out there. I know it's a lot, and I know that you might have some questions, and I am ready to answer those. There was one observation I wanted to do for one of the questions that we had on the group that was about Alice. I saw that you made ads in English and Spanish, right? You posted there some of the results that you had. I want to invite you to consider the Spanish ads, because if you look at them, you will see that your conversion through your click-through rate is off the charts there. You have a great audience cycles, and you have filtered a great audience, and your ads are performing super well when it comes to that specific language. So I saw your website as well to have a look at what you were selling. I think it makes a lot of sense that you do bet in this multi-language. Just make extra sure that you're also having all of the location settings correct, so that you really show those English ads for relevant audiences. Sorry, the Spanish ads for relevant audiences, because it seems like you had a good opportunity there. I don't think we didn't have any other questions there. By any chance, did someone make questions on the group now or on the chat? Which I can't really see here.
We have a question. By the way, now is the time, guys, that if you have specific questions about the campaigns that you've built, now is the time to ask them. Okay. And if it's easier, what you could do is you could even like take a screenshot and post it in there, and we can review your ads or your keywords right away. Okay. So definitely post them in here now. We do have a couple questions. So Philippa asks, do you exclude IPs? If so, which ones?
Hmm.
Office or staff?
Yeah, well, we do, but it's sometimes a little bit tricky, because like the principle, right? What we want to achieve is that we're an agency, right? And we don't want to mess with the data from our customers, because we will access the website at least 5 times every one a day, and that already gives you like 30, 40 clicks right off. We do filter IPs based on our location. But it's not always perfect, because IPs change, especially when you have some kind of secure connection, and the IPs are dynamic; they're not static anymore for the most part. So if I block an IP, if I go into Google now and type in what's my IP, it's going to show me a number, right? Tomorrow, if I access from my phone, it might have changed. So going after that is a little bit tricky. There are solutions for that. There's plugins and extensions that do that for you, but honestly, don't worry too much about it. Like in analytics, if you want to try to block your own IP and your staff, sure, it's not going to harm you in any way, and it will give you cleaner data. It's just not 100% clean. That it's pretty hard to achieve, especially today.
I have I have a question actually.
Hmm.
Um, so in my experience, typically the way that I have run campaigns in the past, especially when I'm doing search PPC campaigns, is that I only target. Sorry, What's the specific terminology? The specific terminology is that I only run them on the search on Google. I exclude search partners because I have no
Hmm.
idea who out there is like running search Google's search and service. And then I exclude display. So I essentially, when I run search PPC campaigns historically, I've only run them on search on Google, and I've excluded everything else so that I can control what's happening, right? And right now, I'll just share my screen because I want you to kind of give me a quick view of this. Right now, I'm also running them as in placements, right, in the display
Hmm.
network. So my ads are showing up somewhere. I guess I don't have any placements, but I'm kind of curious. Is it here? Yeah. So like where my ads showed is here. So myguidetenerife.com, cruiseindustrynews.com, vessel finder. So I've historically never run campaigns like this, and I'm kind of
Hmm.
curious if you have any suggestions. Should I keep this in there and start pruning out domains that I definitely know wouldn't fit or that isn't the right audience? Do I
Hmm.
exclude display entirely? Do I exclude? I guess I'm kind of curious just to understand what your thoughts are on the way that I'm targeting these campaigns.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm happy to share some experiences that we had with Crazy Crab itself. So initially we did the same you're doing, right? We activated a display. We let it run for a little bit, so we get some insights of where the, because we do set interest, right, for the target, and then we pick up on this list, right, on some of the better results. Our long-term goal, what we tend to do is that display, we use it in two ways. One is only on very specific websites as placement. So what, basically taking this, extra refining it, making sure which ones are really relevant for you, and then keep running on them, checking performance always. But I guess the where we are a little bit more open, right, to test different placements is remarketing. When it's a
Okay.
remarketing ad, which basically means, for who doesn't understand the term, that you're gonna send re-hit them, right, hit them again with a message from you, be that a visual ad or a search ad, in different platforms and different websites, right? So there we leave it open, right? Because if the user visits, a forum that he likes and doesn't really have anything to do with cruises or charters or Tenerife, it might still be relevant for him because he visited your website, right? So there we're a little bit more flexible, but
Right.
on display search, we usually are very, very clear on the display networks we want to use.
So would you recommend that I essentially go through this list and just pull out everything that I think is not relevant? I mean,
Uh,
seanglingireland.org is definitely not my audience.
exactly. No, that's for sure. I would say that's for sure what you have to do. Um, this was yes, this was set from a search network, right? From display network,
This is
and
yeah,
it
this is
just
where my ads show. This is placements I would imagine is on display.
mhm.
YouTube and display. Yeah,
And then yes, I would filter it out. Maybe you go into the placements and you put those websites that are relevant for you in there as
got it,
potential
got it.
displays.
Okay. And I mean, what I might do though is just for like this because like the click through rates are for some of these are. I mean, it's not that much data, but like boatsfrom.co.uk and Vessel Finder. Like I think Vessel Finder is like I'm not sure exactly. I can look it up later. Cruise industry news though, like I'm definitely not in the cruise industry, right? And like
Mhm.
this is costing me money. And I know that this is cheaper than Google PPC, but like I kind of lose the search intent, right? Like I don't actually people aren't actually like actively looking, and so I don't know. I think maybe I'll prune this really heavily, and then for remarketing, right? So I have somebody that comes to visit through my website. Should I add display ads to do the remarketing campaigns through Google's display network?
We do usually. We usually launch them both in Google, right, display search, but also on social medias.
Okay.
And then usually it becomes very clear after a couple of weeks which one is really performing better. Of course, that might be because we are maybe working on the audience better on Facebook and Instagram, right? Maybe the pitch is better. But for example, we actually also had this scenario in which we considered we don't really offer cruises, right? And this is a cruise review website, but there could be someone looking for cruises that go to your location, right? I'm not sure if that's the case with Tenerife, if you have cruises stopping on ports there or not. But if you do, you might pick up someone with a top of funnel ad, right? Making
Got it.
something like, "Are you coming?" A quick, we for example made an ad on display which was talking about the benefits we had, talking to someone who we knew was going to be on a cruise. So a time departure, get money back guarantee if there's problems with the weather, making sure that there will be a transport from the port back to the port.
Got it.
These kind of things, they can work really well.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So we got a couple more
No
questions that
worries.
came in. So let's see, Alice. Let's see who we got. Wait. There's a lot of questions.
Good.
So okay, we covered Data Studio. All right, so Brian asks, any thoughts on implementing display ads in addition to search campaigns? Additionally,
Hmm.
if you think it is a good idea, should I use display as a retargeting campaign? So I think we kind of touched on that
Just
a little bit,
clarified.
but
Yeah.
maybe you can elaborate a little bit more. The first question is, any thoughts on implementing display in addition to search ads?
So display, it has like what we were saying here, right? There's definitely ways you can do it. Keep in mind that display tends to be cheaper, right? And you're gonna have a lot of impressions. So for branding reasons, depending where you are displaying that, on specific websites that you know are of interest for, maybe it's a portal talking like an OTA which offers display. Maybe it's some kind of portal or demo that's talking about that location where you can also target that display ads. Um, Definitely try it out because it's not that expensive. Make some good ads and build a nice copy. Try it out. Say that you are the oldest tour operator in search your location, or some kind of really branding strategies. They tend to show if it's worth investing in intro into or not. Sometimes even not having clicks doesn't mean that they didn't see you. Don't quote me on that, right? I never would say like come to someone and say, "Hey, you have 0 clicks, but look at how many people saw it." But um, but it could indicate some success too, depending on what your strategy is, right?
Right.
If you were able to benchmark the traffic that comes after that, if they went through that website where you advertised. So try it out. Definitely try it out. It's not expensive. Just get some good design going out there and try it out. Put a coupon code that worked for us once. We're saying here's a voucher code. Put it into the booking process. You're going to get this much off. We make CTA calls to talk to someone, to a consultant traveling to Cayman, check our adventure planner, things like that. Sometimes they work. What I would not do is try to do highly sales pitched oriented ads on display. Then I would do it on remarketing on someone that they're a little bit deeper in our funnel that we were talking before, right? So they already know your brand, or at least they have a need which they know your company can cover. Then you make a remarketing ad with some discounts. But sales pitch oriented, like saying, you're going to cruise review website, and then you have this ad from your company saying, guided tour 99.50. Probably not the best tone to go about it, because he's not looking for a charter right now. He's definitely not on your website, right? That
Right.
that we can assume for sure.
Right.
So it's probably not the best for you to already be so aggressive with your pitch.
Yeah, that's a good call. By the way, guys, if you want a really easy way to create display ads and remarketing ads, like the actual graphics that show up, like follow people around on the internet, or all over the web or on Facebook. um, canva.com is amazing. And actually I did like a how-to video on the ITA YouTube channel on how to use Canva. It's completely free, and it's super easy to work with, and it has a bunch of templates that you can use, and it's, I think, one of the most user friendly and easy ways to design. I mean, I use it for flyers, I use it for website graphics. All of the COVID templates that we released were built on there. So like everything, you can build pretty much any design really easily using Canva. It's canva.com. After this, I'll post a link to the YouTube video and to Canva so you guys can check it out. It's great. So if you guys do choose to experiment with display ads for top of funnel, or remarketing ads on the display network, which are much further down on the funnel, you can try to use that. Okay. Um, Another question, Wendy. I'm not sure how to answer your question. On Instagram and other social media sites, use the hashtag sign instead of the plus sign for broad match. Um, so if you're advertising on Instagram, like if you're actually running advertising campaigns, then that's not the way that you set those up. I mean, you certainly could use the hashtags in your ad copy, but the way that you target on social media platforms is based off of interests, demographics, and there's a bunch of different options for targeting there. So you don't do I mean, it's not keyword based targeting, it's interest based targeting. So this is a very different advertising philosophy, and one that we're not going to go too far into on this webinar or in this workshop, because this is very much around PPC. Okay. So Alice is asking, I am looking at my search items, the search terms, and
Mhm.
she sees scuba diving holidays UK. Should I put the whole phrase in negative keywords or just the holidays UK part? Okay, so you could do either. So if you put in quotes scuba diving holidays UK, that whole term, and you put it in quotes, then your ad won't show if somebody puts that specific term into the search into search, right? Now, if you put just holidays UK, then Google won't show your ad for any search that contains the words holidays UK and in that order. Okay, so you could do either. Both of them would work. One would be far broader, right? So, like, even if somebody were to type in holidays UK, that includes scuba diving, and you were only to put holidays UK as the negative keyword, then it won't show for that either, right? So it's better to put, like, if you just don't want to show up for holidays UK any search term, then you put that in there and it won't show for any of those. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, Lucy asks if you put holidays as negative. Okay, I think that's the way. Yep, that's a great answer. Um, Philippa says more than 1,000 impressions on one campaign. We're in a website that will not bring any traffic for sure. That's good. So these reports are really handy, right? They're really important. This is how you do it. Philippa Canva. Wendy says thank you. All right, cool. So those are all the questions that we have so far. We're
Mhm.
only 8 minutes over as of right now, which is fantastic. Pablo, I think the moment that everyone has been waiting for, my friend, is the announcement of the winners of your giveaway. Man, I really wish I could have participated
Yes.
in that, honestly.
We might have an extra spot.
Okay. Yes.
So, guys, first of all, thanks and to everyone for the submissions. Great answers, everyone. Like, it was hard. Okay, it was not an easy process to, we went into your websites, we looked at some data that we were able to mine on you guys. So it was hard. I can say that like there was no clear winner, but we had to pick three of you guys. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about the website before I say who it is. One of them is Academy Bay Diving. Basically, they have what we noticed is that they had a great website. Right, we were very interested in the Galapagos region already from the past because we do have a customer from the cruise industry there. So I think there's a lot to learn and a lot to teach. I think it's going to be a nice trade of information. So we decided for that. So congratulations, Alice, on winning this first award. Then the second one for us is someone that has been very engaged as well. Portuguese for a day. This is with Filipa. Great potential as well. We haven't tried out the Portuguese market. We did make some consultations for some companies in Albufeira and in Sagres in the Algarve region. But it seems that you have a bigger coverage, and we would like to assist with what we can there and also take some learning points from you. And last but not least, there were two safari companies that have submitted the forms. We ended up going for Scott Brills. We have experience in safaris in Namibia, and I think that Botswana as well in the past. You have a great website, so I think that if you get the ad consultation or some other points that everyone mentioned, like SEO and inbound marketing, going over those, I'm sure that the three of you should have a great potential there. So
Who's
I
the
think
third?
the third is Scott Brills.
Scott. All
Um,
right.
I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name of the company, but Pa Pamoja Safaris.
That's perfect. I don't know if Scott's with us right now. I know that we have Alice on and we have Philippe on. So congratulations, guys. Amazing.
Yeah. We're gonna be in touch with you guys soon. For the ones that did not win, don't fret. We also have something for you guys. You're gonna be getting an email from us as well. We're gonna be having special deals in case you want to try out the first project with the hype, and probably also some free consultation hours there, just to make sure at least this webinar was useful to you. I want to take this as a complimentary gift directly from myself. That I want to make sure everyone gets something out of this. So I'll be available. I'll email all of you guys later today, and I think that kind of brings us to the end of our workshop, right?
That was awesome. It looks like Philippe was very excited, and and Alice is also very excited. I'm sure Scott would be very
Nice.
excited if you were here as well. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time, for helping us all understand how to run profitable PPC campaigns. Guys, use this group. Okay, like this isn't over. Okay, we are dedicated again. Both Pablo and I will be answering questions in the group. We will help you guys as much as we can. I will make myself available anytime. My primary goal now is to help tour operators succeed. So if your campaigns aren't working, if you need more information, if you're stuck, anything, make sure you post it in the group, and we will do our very best to help you. We'll even set up calls. I know that people have been messaging Pablo directly to get information. I've been getting messages directly to get more information. So I'm so happy to see that you guys are taking initiative and actually working through this, and you're doing such a great job of actually implementing what we're learning here. Remember that that's the most important part, is to actually take action and do it, because you can't get anywhere unless you at least take the first step. So congratulations to all of you guys. Well done, everyone in this group, for doing such a wonderful job. Remember that ITA will continue to bring you incredible information like this. We have a retargeting campaign, Facebook retargeting campaign class coming up next week. If you want to know about that and more, go to travelassociation.org. You can sign up for the pre-launch list. We will be announcing all of the workshops and all the information that we're going to be doing in there. We have also released, just this week, we have released a real-time global travel restrictions tracker, which is super cool. It essentially allows you to put your name, email address, and the countries that you want to track. So you can track both your destination country where you're located and the origin countries where your customers are most likely to come from. And it will send you every day, well, not every day, but it checks every day for new updates whether that country has changed its travel restrictions, both domestically and internationally, and it will give you a whole breakdown of those changes whenever that happens. And right now, each country is updating their the main travel countries are updating their travel restrictions on a weekly basis. So stuff changes really quickly. Super important. I've been getting alerts for my countries, and it's been really helpful to understand how to essentially change my strategy as we move forward. So go to travelassociation.org. All of that information is there. I will post a link to Canva and the video of how to use it. And if you guys need anything else, don't hesitate. Pablo, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And thank everyone else for the time, attention. It was great. I'm looking forward to doing this again if possible.
All right.
All right then.
I'll try to convince Pablo to come and spend more time with us on something else after he delivers $9,000 of free consulting to you guys.
All right then. Thanks for your time, and I guess we'll talk to each other a little bit later.
All right. Thank you guys so
All
much.
right, guys.
Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.